Welcome to Gentle Somatic Yoga. This class focuses on hips, legs, and low back. And I invite you to begin this class today by just walking around your space. So whether you're having a large space or a small space, doesn't matter. And you can go back and forth or maybe just walk around a little bit in a circle. And notice as you're walking just what it feels like to move. If your shoes are on, that's okay, but if you can take your shoes off, that might aid in your discovery. Going ahead and walking around the space and just allowing your breath to move freely. Notice what it feels like to walk on your feet, what you're noticing in the knees, and also anything present in your hips. You might also just take a moment just to stand. And as you're standing, notice the balance between your legs. Is there more weight on one foot than the other? And maybe notice also where your weight is. Maybe towards the front of your feet or towards the back. And then go ahead and walk around the space just a little bit more. This will be our first point of reference for our practice today. Once you've walked around your space, you're going to want to clear a little bit of an area on a wall if you can. So I'll use this space just behind me, and we'll begin with legs up the wall. You can also bring a pillow behind your head or a pillow underneath your hips if that's more comfortable. I'll be flat here, but please grab something if you need to be more comfortable with your legs up the wall. You're going to want to scoot as close as possible to the wall without there being a big stretch in the back of your legs. I'll scoot a little bit forward, and then you can bring your legs up. Make sure you feel like you have a comfortable distance between your glutes and the wall. And then you can bring your hands, palms up, or if it's more comfortable, just rest your hands on your body. We'll take a little time here to scan the body. So once you've arrived here, go ahead and close the eyes and just become aware of the breath. Maybe allowing a few audible exhales as you're breathing, letting all of that air out. Letting your inhales be full and easy. Allowing your back to make complete contact with the floor. And being aware of how your shoulders fit on the ground. Allow the face to be soft, the head to make contact with the floor or a pillow. Feeling how the hips make contact with the ground. Being aware of how the feet make contact with the wall. Noticing the legs, the quality of energy moving through your legs. Being aware of how the legs are rotated. And allowing your body to be supported by the earth. Allowing the body to be supported by the wall. In this moment, notice the quality of your presence. If 1 is not present at all and 10 is very present, notice where you are in this moment. If your eyes are closed, allow your eyes just to flutter open, keeping them soft. And we'll take just a small movement here, starting to bend the right knee. And as you bend the right knee, that foot will come down the wall, and then you can hug on to that right knee just gently in towards the body. So again, we're wanting to stay out of a deep stretch. We're just going into just waking the body up, this little bit of movement, bringing that right leg back up the wall, kind of tracing the wall with your heel, and then bend your left knee, bring that heel down the wall, and then once that knee comes in, you can give just a gentle hug of that leg in. And if it would feel good for you as you're warming up, just to bring that other knee in, and you can hug both legs in. You're just feeling your back on the ground here. Very nice. Bringing both legs back up the wall. Our next somatic movement flow from here will be called inverted angle. So you're going to bring the soles of your feet together, and you're going to let your knees open. At this time, before you go into this, if you're feeling like you need some support under your hips or your head, you can go ahead and move something there. You've noticed that you can do this movement with your feet very far up the wall. Others of us are going to have a little bit, maybe more of a range, and you can bring it down, or you can let your feet come a little bit more towards your groin. And we're wanting just to stop at a point where you're feeling your back on the floor, and then simply observe the amount of distance between your knee and the wall. You can look at it, or you can bring your hands out and just feel. So you're just noticing there. Bringing your hands down by your side. The way we'll begin this is just to slightly arch the back. So you can take your hands if you need to feel this, and you're going to arch your back, and then you can slide your hands underneath and see if you can feel a little bit of an arch there. As the back is starting to arch, you're going to slightly press your knees towards the wall just a little bit. And then as you bring your back flat again, start to bring your knees in together. And you can kind of think about butterfly wings here. As you bring the knees together, maybe a little bit of a condensing in the belly. Next part of this movement is just to continue through that cycle, allowing the knees to open. As the soles of the feet come together, the back slightly arches. Press your knees a bit towards the wall. And then flatten your back like you're trying to catch a piece of paper under there. Bring your knees together, maybe a little bit of a crunching or condensing in the belly. And do a few more of these with your own pace. So you're really just looking for that start of a little bit of an arch. And as you get that arch in the back, pressing the knees towards the wall. And then flattening your back and bringing your feet to the wall and your knees together. And remember, in gentle somatic yoga, we're always looking to move with pleasure, and we're wanting to stay out of any long, static held stretches. So when you open up, no more than about 3 seconds here until you start moving to that second part of the somatic movement flow with your knees in. Maybe one more of these. Inviting that arch and flatten of the back. And then we'll just go back to that starting position for this somatic movement flow of this inverted angle. And allow your knees to open, pause, and then just look, or with your hands, notice the distance between your knee and the wall. Make notice if there's any differences for you there in distance. And then just observe the quality of energy through your body in this moment. bringing the knees together, and we'll gently roll to one side. So we're going to roll away from the wall and just turn to a side for a couple breaths. You can go ahead and move yourself towards the center of your practice space or moving away from the wall. And we're going to do this next movement on our back. So this somatic movement flow is a psoas release. Let's just begin this process now that we're on the ground by lengthening out the legs, letting the body be flat, and then checking to see if the body's comfortable. So if there's any adjustments that need to be made, you can just bring your feet up, kind of scooch your body. If you need a pillow under your head, you can go ahead and do that. And then you'll bring your body flat once again. Then close your eyes and just take a moment to observe your body, how it is laying flat on the ground. Noticing the rotation of your legs. And then just bring your hands once again underneath your back and notice how much space is there. Some of us have a lot of space under the back and some of us there's not a lot of space. So maybe a hand slides under one side or maybe it feels pretty flat. Notice if there's any difference between the left and the right side of your low back. We'll begin this somatic movement flow, this psoas release, by going ahead and taking that right leg and bending the knee. You're going to hug that knee in, not to stretch the leg, but just to its comfortable range of motion. If you can't reach the top of the knee, you can also hold behind the thigh here. And you want it to go where it just feels easy. Let the arms rest and relax. Once you've got that right leg, you're going to take the left leg and hover it off the ground just a couple inches. Hovering that leg with the toes pointing up. If there is a lot of tension that develops in the neck, you can also bend that left knee a little. And I'll go ahead and bend the left knee. And then slowly lower that left leg. Nice and slow. And you're wanting to feel that leg release to the ground, nice and slow. And as you do, see if that opposite leg can pull in just a tad more. So my right knee pulled in just a little bit. Make sure it still feels easy. Then turn your left toes outward or externally rotate your left leg. Hover your left leg a few inches off the ground. Again, the knee can be bent or straight. And then you'll slowly lower that leg. And once that leg touches the ground, see if you get a little bit more release of that right knee in towards the belly without force. The last range of motion on this side will be turning that left leg internally or turning your toes towards the center line of your body, hovering that leg just a couple inches off the ground. And then lowering nice and slow so that effort is mostly in the release. The core will probably be a little active. The neck is easy. Release that leg completely and see if you get maybe even a little bit more range of motion on that right knee. And then lengthen both legs out again and simply observe. Walk your right foot out and your left foot out, palms up, breathe here and observe. Notice the quality of energy between the left and the right leg and how your hips are fitting on the ground. Next cycle, go ahead and bring your left knee in towards your chest. Again, just going to that comfortable distance. So you can pull a little bit and then pause with your hand on your knee or beneath your knee. Then hover your right leg just a few inches off the ground, toes facing up to start. You're going to hover that leg, and if needed, you can also bend the knee a little bit if it pulls on your neck. Then release your right leg nice and slow towards the ground. The core will be a bit active. And soon as that leg touches the ground, release everything, breathe, maybe an exhale. See if you get a little more distance on that left leg. Then externally rotate your right leg so your toes are going to be facing out, and levitate that right leg off the ground a couple inches. So, you can go close to the ground. Some people will lift up the leg a little more, but you want to then lower the leg with control, nice and slow, breathing on the way out. And once that leg touches the ground, release and see if you get any more distance on that left knee. So even though you're looking for that motion, you're not wanting to force distance. You may get some release of movement and you may not, and that's okay. This last motion is turning that right leg internal. Toes are going to face the center, and levitate that right leg off the ground a couple inches. And then slowly lower. And as soon as that leg touches the ground, release, relax, and see if that left leg gets a little bit more movement towards the belly. And again, it's okay if it doesn't. Then release, both legs long. Once again, extend the body, relax the body, palms up. Take a few breaths in and out. Notice the quality of energy, left to right, through the legs and the hips. And then just for point of reference, take your hands and slide them underneath your back and notice, has anything changed there? Left to right. And simply then notice the quality and then sensations in your hips and low back. From here, just allow your body to roll onto your side for a couple breaths. So in a fetal position, bending your knees, turning and breathing. Coming up to a seated position for a few breaths. Observing the quality of your breath here. Making note of your spine, how your hips and your legs are feeling. For this last movement of the hips and legs sequence, we're going to turn back onto our back, but face the other way. So you're just getting yourself turned up and then turn back down again. You're going to set yourself up like you would a yoga bridge pose. The knees will be bent, hands down by the sides. Maybe walk the shoulder blades a little bit down from your ears. This somatic movement flow is called beads on a necklace. And we can think of our spine, our 33 vertebrae, being beads on a necklace. So instead of thinking of, like in yoga when we do bridge and we're thinking maybe just of the whole spine itself, this is meant to articulate each one of these little bead points. So feeling your feet on the ground, we're going to begin by observing the low back. If there's a little space underneath there, observe it. And then the way we'll roll up is to start to flatten that space, tuck your tailbone, tilt your hips, and you're going to start to roll from the lowest part of the spine as you can feel, Then letting the hips raise off the ground, maybe even closing your eyes and attempting to articulate the best you can up your spine. So this is going to be a slow movement. And as soon as you get to the shoulder blades or the mid-back, roll your shoulders underneath and your palms are going to go up. So you want to pandiculate or squeeze the shoulder blades gently. And then you'll start to roll down the thoracic spine, just as slow and articulate as you can. Once you roll out of that part of the spine, let your palms face down again. Roll all the way down that long thoracic spine, placing the beads down like a necklace on a table, all the way down through the lumbar spine, nice and slow. And you're going to go all the way back through the pelvis. And you might, at the very end of this, even feel a little bit of an arch. So as you press the tailbone a little bit into the floor, I like to add a little bit of that tiny bit of an arch at the end. And then do that maybe 2 or 3 more times. And just let that be easy and pleasurable. And remember, as you're going up, once you get to that thoracic spine, you're going to roll the shoulder blades underneath and squeeze. Taking your time here and maybe enjoying a rest in between your repetitions. Taking 3 to 5 of these bead on a necklace roll up and down. This can be so nice to do just after a day of sitting. Maybe taking 1 more of those at your own pace. We'll end up meeting again just flat on the ground. And I'll show you a variation on this, and you can play with this on your own and maybe do it with me now. You're going to go ahead and roll up and articulate your spine. And then once you get up there, squeeze the shoulder blades. And instead of coming straight down through the center, you're going to start to roll down, but you're going to let that right glute, let it go, and roll down with the right hip. It almost feels like the right hip is leading a little bit. It's not that we're going to turn onto our side, but we're just going to roll down the middle of the spine with that glute released. And you can play with that variation on the other side. After you're coming down this last time, go ahead and roll to your side 1 more time. Breathe, nice and easy. Help yourself up through a seated position. Now go ahead and walk a little bit around your space. We're going to end this practice in the same way we began, by just observing what it feels like to walk. Maybe walking back and forth a moment. Noticing the quality of movement and what you're feeling through your feet, your knees, your hips, and low back. Then taking a moment just to stand wherever you are in this moment. Maybe closing your eyes and observing the weight transfer down through your legs, left to right. Noticing how the body is standing on the feet, maybe more forward, center, or back. And what sensations are present right now. Then take just a little bit more time to walk around your space, feeling the quality of movement through the left and the right leg. The quality of presence you have with yourself in this moment. Noticing your breath. Then pausing one last time, taking a breath in and out, observing the ground, observing your body standing. Thank you for your practice of gentle somatic yoga for the legs, hips, and low back. See you next time.